Hey guys, Spartan here, and everyone who's played Darkest Dungeon knows that it has a ton of achievements. Not as much as some other games where it's like a meme-worthy amount, but 120 achievements is a lot. And obviously, with every game that has a bunch of achievements, there's bound to be a few stinkers. So, I have gone through all 120 achievements and have decided which ones would make to be the worst 10 out of the bunch. Now, this isn't just difficulty, this is also taking into account achievements that you just don't want to get. Because obviously, things like, oh, having your team die are bad achievements because you don't want that to happen. But, well, let's just get into the list. Also, this is all my opinion, blah blah blah, but I am going off the global achievement stats to see what people have not obtained on their files, to see, you know, add weight to it, because obviously if a lot of people don't have an achievement, it's probably because it's bad or hard. So for number 10 on the list, which is, I'm putting this at number 10 only, despite the fact that it's so rare in fact that we need to scroll all the way down to the bottom to see it. It is Blood Cult. Sure, it's not the rarest of the achievement, but it is still only a 0.5% obtained rate for all players. Now, it's a DLC one, so obviously some people will not have it, but when you take a look at the other Crimson Court achievements, plenty of people have this DLC. So, what does it entail? Have your entire roster affected by the Crimson Curse. This is a bad thing because the Crimson Curse, while it is good on some heroes, is not good on a lot of heroes, especially backliners, who when bloodlusted will tend to try to move forwards, and disruption of positions is a great way to lose entire fights because it kind of snowballs. Oh, you have a Bounty Hunter in rank 3 because Bounty Hunter in rank 3 can use basically everything except uppercut? Well, not anymore, because your backline Vestal who has the Crimson Curse and is bloodlusting has decided to move forwards, dispositioning your Bounty Hunter so he can't use any of his melee skills. Good luck. But yeah, as I say, this is actually one of the easiest achievements to get, despite the fact that you do need to lose your save file, basically. What you need to do is simply dismiss everybody who does not have the Crimson Curse. As long as you have one person with Crimson Curse on a file in your hamlet, you can get this achievement. So it's actually really easy to get if you just have a file you don't want anymore, and you have Crimson Court enabled on it. I think you can enable Crimson Court afterwards you've started a file, but you just can't disable it, so hey, if you want to get this achievement, go ahead and do that. Number 9. Gonna have to scroll up a little. I'm doing this so that I can keep my notepad open so I can have my notes. Is Plowshares to Swords. So, reach Death's Door from Farmhands Riposte. Now, the Farmhands do have a riposte that they use, this is obviously how you get this achievement, in the farmstead. But they need to be appearing with a foreman on their team, and the foreman will use a move and it gives riposte to a farmhand. How much damage does this riposte do? 3 to 5 on the highest difficulty, that being Endless Harvest. That is an incredibly pitiful amount of damage. Its accuracy is somewhat decent at 110%, but that still means that high dodge units have like only a 80% chance to land, which, you know, it's somewhat average, but in reality, you're probably just going to bring a level 1 unit to try and get killed from this riposte, but it's actually a lot easier said than done. Now, you don't have to kill a unit with it, you just need to make sure they hit Death's Door, so there's no great loss. I mean, it's Endless Harvest, so you don't actually lose your heroes if they die, but still, this is a real pain to get, as shown by only 2% of people even have this. So, yeah. Hard achievement to get, just because of the luck-basedness of even if you find a foreman to go with them. And it needs to be a unit that your unit can hit. So yeah, just bring like a Houndmaster or something like that, and smack into them a bunch, or wait until they have a low health. The problem is reaching Death's Door from like Blight before getting a chance to be hit. Hey, guess what? We have another Color of Madness achievement, Rogues Gallery. Fight every wandering, not wandering, wandering boss in Endless mode. So, this is on the list because it takes a very long time. Obviously, you need to fight 100 enemies, or get 100 kills for 100 shards to spawn in the Sleeper, and after the Sleeper is dead, you can start fighting random bosses. I don't know if this actually means every boss in the game, or if it just means things like Shambler, Collector, Crocodilian, Thing from the Stars. It could be, but there's no clarification on this, and time you actually find all these wandering bosses, oh, sorry, wandering bosses, need to specify the O, then you'll probably will have fought every boss, but yeah, this just takes an incredibly long amount of time, so I hope you like playing Endless. You don't need to do them all in one run, obviously, that would be absolute torture and probably impossible for most players, just because of how stupid Endless mode gets after 300 kills. But yeah, this one is just probably not worth getting, but then again, most people don't have it, so yeah. One of the really die-hard ones. Now, not far off Rogue's Gallery, we have, yet again, another Color of Madness achievement, a memory of better times and spaces, to build the windmill. It says windmill, but it's really the mill. Don't know where they're getting these achievement texts from. But yeah, you need a blueprint. Actually, I don't even remember if you really need a blueprint to do this, but you do need 10 memories. How do you get memories? Memories drop from the sleeper, so once again, that's another 100 kills in Endless you need to do to get one. Or they are randomly dropped from Thing from the Stars. It's not a guarantee to get them from Thing from the Stars, but you can. Which means that eventually, through enough runs, you will get this. What it does is it's actually pretty powerful building. It removes random hunger checks, which saves you an absolute boatload of inventory space, because you only need to pack, like, 8 food for a medium mission just to feast for your one camp. Unless you obviously just want to eat food in the middle of the mission. In fact, you probably don't even need to do that. You'll get random food drops. But yeah, it's incredibly powerful, but it takes an incredibly long amount of time because 10 memories is no easy task. But yeah, it's not necessarily a bad achievement, it just takes a long amount of time and is very tedious. So, that's why it's only number 7 on the list. Now for something you absolutely would not want to do on your files, we return to the Worms of lose a hero to a maggot. Now, maggots are the second most pathetic enemy in the game, only behind Bone Rabble, and Bone Rabble is like just supposed to be a bog standard unit that just really does nothing and dies easily. Maggots also cannot really kill units. They do little damage, even on crits they deal, like, I think still single digits, even at the highest level of difficulty. Their annoyance factor is the stress they deal, the diseases, and stunning can be a little annoying, but usually they don't appear with any particularly dangerous enemies to do that with. No, the problem with this is you need to lose a hero to a maggot, which means that you lose a hero. Obviously you can use a level 1 unit, but then again, you cannot force spawn maggot fights, because they are random roaming enemies that don't appear in any region in particular, and they don't appear in Endless Harvest, if I recall. Which means that you cannot cheese out a hero dies, but you get them back because Endless Harvest, like you can with certain other achievements like That'll Do Pig, because Swine King does appear in Endless Harvest, meaning that you can just have a hero die to Wilbur in Endless Harvest and you can get them back fairly easily. You know, no actual losses except for the trinkets maybe. But for this one, you have to lose a hero to a maggot, and there's no way of dying to a maggot in reality unless you actively let it kill you. Because they're pathetic. Seriously, and you're at the mercy of which hero you lose, so yeah, have fun dying to a maggot. Now, I didn't want to include both of these achievements because they are very similar. I had to draw the line between which is more annoying, Blood Soaks the Sand or Blood Flood. Blood Flood is rarer by 0.1%, it is the rarest achievement in Butcher's Circus, or Darkest Dungeon in general, which is kill 600 enemies in Butcher's Circus, and Blood Soaks the Sand is win 100 matches in Butcher's Circus, which technically means you would need to kill 400 enemies, at least. But the thing is, I'm putting this to Blood Soaks the Sand because even if you lose fights in Butcher's Circus, you will get kills, unless you absolutely get sweeped. So, you need to kill, like, let's say you win half the matches that you play, then that will take you, like, 200 matches to get the Blood Soaks the Sand achievement. But if you win every second match, at least by getting, like, I don't know, 2 kills on your matches you lose, you'll get Blood Flood before you get Blood Soaks the Sand, or you'll get them at roughly the same time. But usually you can choke out a few more kills than normal, so yeah, Blood Soaks the Sand, it takes a crap ton of time, Of course, you could get Blood Soaks the Sand easier if you only play against bots because they suck, and they do count for achievement progress, but that's boring, so we'll not include that. So, as an achievement in this game, I need to scroll up to see it because quite a lot of people have got this, and for a good reason. This does happen eventually. Even the best players get this, well, can get this achievement unintentionally. What is already dead cannot die. Have a character survive 5 attacks at death's door in a single combat. Now, this has, like, almost 20% achievement rate, because eventually a character will just get lucky and survive 5 hits on death's door in a row, because the game is actually weighted towards you surviving on death's door. It may not feel like that, you'll definitely notice it when a character dies, and you will not, like, notice when a character doesn't die, because it's like, oh yeah, it's supposed to not die. I count that as the default. But yeah, that'll happen. But what will not happen is... where is it? Version for Butcher's Circus, which is have a hero survive 5 death's door checks in a single match. Now, on paper, this is basically the exact same thing, but in practicality, it is a lot harder, because much like Darkest Dungeon 2, characters lose Deathblow resist upon surviving on Death's Door, and they lose 15%. I think Darkest Dungeon 2 has 10%. I could be wrong. So that means you go from 75, which is the base, to 60, then to 45, then to 30, and then if you resist that 30%, it goes to 15, but that would have been the last one you need to do. Yes, you can stack Deathblow resist, but a lot of players, and even the bots, use break Deathblow resist trinkets, or things like Bounty Hunters finish him to instantly get kills, even if you have 75 Deathblow resist. So, this is a lot easier said than done. Who've played a lot of the time, who, even playing Butcher's Circus, who don't have this because it's so rare to get. I mean, in theory, eventually you'll get this, but it's a lot harder to get than the other one. So yeah, that's why it's number 4 on this list. Now, for probably one of the most tedious ones, the ones that takes the most amount of time, even if you are trying to get it, is Shards Well Spent. Collect all of the Color of Madness trinkets. So, there are a lot of Color of Madness trinkets. I think this... I don't quite remember if this requires you to get the Color of Madness trinkets from the thing from the stars. I don't actually think it does. I think it just means the ones you can buy with shards, aka Shards Well Spent. But yeah, how many shards do you think you need for all the trinkets in the game? I'll give you a moment to guess. If you guessed 1,000 shards, then you're half right, and by that might mean you are, like, halfway to the correct, which is 2,065 shards. That is like 2,000 kills in Endless Harvest you need to do in order to get enough shards to buy everything, which includes some really bad trinkets like the Coat of Many Colors, and just... there's so many bad trinkets that are in that you'll just never use, and you have to buy them all if you want to get this achievement. This is just so tedious. Nobody wants to get these achievements because, well, nobody wants to buy all those trinkets. So yeah, just... I can't even say don't bother getting this, because if you go for a super long file, you'll eventually get this, if you like Endless, I guess. But yeah, there's no way of getting this in one single Endless run because of the stacking limit of shards. But you wouldn't do that anyway. Yeah, that's why it's number 3 on this list. Now let's go back to luck-based things. In the Mouth of Madness. Yeah, everyone knew this was coming. Defeat the Sleeper with 2 Afflicted, 2 Virtuous Heroes. You have very little way of actually controlling whether you get this achievement or not, because if you enter the Sleeper fight with 2 Virtued, 2 Afflicted Heroes, there's actually a good chance the Afflicted Heroes will drag the Virtuous Heroes down or up in the stress department, get them up to 200 stress, and then they lose their virtue. There's also the chance they just lose because Sleeper can actually deal some pretty significant damage and stress through its second phase, and that can tip an afflicted character over the edge. And yes, you could in theory run virtue trinkets, like the Highwayman set, to guarantee a virtue, or even 2 if you're running 2 Highwaymen or something like that. But every now and then the game will, like, screw you over and it's like, oh, you guaranteed 2 virtues? Have another virtue. Or, oh, you already had 2 afflicted? Surprise, your virtue triggers won't work. Have another one. It's incredibly luck-based, unless you, like, cheat. In fact, the way that you cheat with this is, well, you know, spoilers for if you're caring about, you know, how to actually play the game properly. If you close the game while a character is being afflicted or virtued immediately, like you Alt F4 while the pop-up is happening, the game will not check whether that is actually the canon outcome, which means by reloading the game, you can change the result, which means that that's the way that most people actually really get this achievement, by cheating. So if you don't care for honesty, and you just want to cheat, which I'm chalking that down to a bad achievement if you usually have to cheat to get it, then go ahead and get In the Mouth of Madness. It's a bad achievement. That's why it's number 2 on the list. But even then, it can't compare to the number 1 worst achievement on this list. I'd like to give a shout out to Rainbow's End, though, for being a very bad achievement. It would have been like number 11 on this list, but we're not doing 11s, just because you need to buy a very expensive trinket with shards and then lose it. So, yeah. GG, Code of Many Colors, you really suck. Now, I'm honestly surprised that even this many players have this achievement, because it is undoubtedly the worst achievement in the game. If you've been listening to me for an extended period of time, you'll know that I personally hate this achievement, and it is the second last achievement I got. The last achievement I got, however, was the Let a Hero Die to Crimson Curse, which is just, I didn't want that to happen. I wanted that to be the last one to show conquership. But the worst achievement in the game is Shadows Blur Together, surprising absolutely no one who has played this game for an extended period of time. Kill an ally while under the curse. So, what does this actually mean? So, first off, you have to have a character with the Crimson Curse. Not hard to do. You need to then have a character of yours be on Death's Door, something you don't want to happen. Then, you need to have your character in either Bloodlust or the Craving form of the Crimson Curse. Not Wasting. Wasting doesn't count, so you can't choose this with Rat Carcass. And you can't leave them in the dormant state either, because this will not happen there. And there is a chance, at the start of their turn, they will attack a random ally for some damage, and this checks Deathblow resist. So, then you need to have it randomly be the character that is on Death's Door, and then you need for them to that check. Which, as I stated before, Deathblow resist is actually weighted in your favor. For this achievement, however, is obviously weighted against your favor because you want them to die. And you need to have all of that happen while not letting your character on Death's Door die to whatever enemies you're stalling against for this achievement. Which means, basically, this is a once-in-a-blue-moon achievement. I don't even know how you managed to get this achievement without just getting incredibly lucky. Or, yeah, this is a stupid achievement. You need to be in a bad situation, you need to let a bad thing happen, which is a hero dies, and it just boggles the mind as to how even 1% of the players have this achievement when it's so rare. Do you want to know how I got this achievement? By cheating. I had to literally edit the game's files to guarantee that your characters will attack their units while afflicted with the Crimson Curse on Bloodlust, just in order to get this achievement. It is literally that rare that a player like me who has played thousands of hours in Darkest Dungeon cannot get this achievement without cheating. It's stupid. This is the worst achievement in the game, and the person who designed this achievement should probably be fired or something. And no, just so you're wondering, this does not count if you are, say, abusive and kill a unit while you still have the Crimson Curse. It does not count a cultist bleeding a unit to death with his heal. That doesn't count either. It has to specifically be from the curse's output. So, yeah. This is an abysmal achievement, and that's why it is the worst achievement in the game. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you thought a different achievement is the worst one in the game, like maybe you don't want to reach max prestige level in Butcher's Circus by grinding against bots, then write so in the comments. I'd love to hear. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.